Good morning everyone, my name is Michelle, I hope you're doing well. Welcome to another video. It is Wednesday morning the 26th of November and it's now a week since the news broke in the media that there was a massive search going on for missing then 5-year-old Summer Moon Utah Wells. She's been missing for nearly 4.5 years. She was last seen outside of her home in the Beech Creek community of Hawkins County, which nestles in between the towns of Rogersville and Kingsport, on June 15th, 2021. We've had precious few updates from either the TBI or Hawkins County Sheriff's Office. So it was an absolute revelation, a bombshell, that the cops had actually announced to the media that this raid had taken place in the 3500 block of Van Hill Road, which is 9.5 miles away from Summer's home. What sparked the cops to release that information? They've never done that before. And given that they knew the shitstorm that it would create on social media, they did it anyway. Quite sure in the last 4.5 years, there's been many promising leads, many that have been investigated that we do not know about. I'm sure there has been. How many? We don't know, because they don't tell us anything. While the investigation is so hot, so live, then it's quite right that they don't. So what sparked them to release this information to the media? It's an open question. I'll invite you to speculate in the comments, because it's something that's puzzling me. I'm sure it's not that they thought, oh well, we've not updated for a while. The last update we had was from last August when they released the new age progressed image, which in the general scheme of things, as in solving the case, it's a nothing burger. Yeah, age progressed images are useful in the slim chance that the missing person is still alive, but the chances after nearly 4.5 years of Summer being alive and actually being 9 years old, it's slim, isn't it? It's really slim. There's a handful of cases where, it's happened that people have been kept prisoner for years, but it's very, very rare. But this is different. This felt different. This is different. So where do we go from here? Let's discuss. Before we get into the video, can I just ask, if you're not yet subscribed, please do so. I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers by the end of this year. With your help, I can do it. I think possibly I could still do it with a little over a month to go. Click the subscribe button. It's all you need to do. That is literally all you need to do. It's completely free at your end. If you are subscribed and you want to help the channel further, leave a like on the video and leave a comment. It shows the YouTube algorithm that you are engaging with my content. And share the videos so that my videos might get out to a wider audience. Okay, so the property owned by elderly man Paul Hill in the 3500 block of Van Hill Road. There's been a lot of speculation about the relatedness of Paul Hill and the two adult sons who are connected to this property. A nephew of Paul Hill lived on Ben Hill Road at the time of Summer's disappearance. That, of course, is Fred Hill. Doesn't live on Ben Hill Road anymore. In fact, doesn't even live in Tennessee anymore. He lives with YouTuber Ziggy, who he married, and they live in Indiana, so he's not even in the same state. But this is the property in question. It is a pig farm, or at least it was a pig farm. You can see a lot of buildings on the property. Don B flew a drone over, and you can see that this structure here is some kind of barn, like big barn. And then that's a house. Lots of vehicles. It's 27 acres. It goes all the way back into the mountain. You can see there's debris or whatever it is there. It's a lot of property. Now, bear in mind, the searchers had most probably been and gone by the time it was released to the media, which I think is a good move on behalf of the cops. I mean, can you imagine because, the driveway is quite short. Can you imagine if they'd released it to the media while they were still actually there? And there would have been, it would have been absolute carnage. It would have been carnage. So I think they did the right thing in only releasing it to the media once it was done and dusted. TVI said it was November 13th. Now, how many days they were actually there, how much of this 27 acres they actually searched, we do not know. Locals had said that they'd seen up to 15 Hawkins County Sheriff's Office cars, so you can imagine the FBI, the TBI, they were all out there, all of them. What led them here? I can tell you a little bit. Can't tell you everything I know, but I can tell you a little bit that it was the FBI who'd received a credible tip of evidentiary value. There's evidence had been found that led them here. It was the FBI investigation. That's just about all I can say at this moment in time. We don't take that lightly. When the FBI are coming in with a lead of good evidentiary value, credible information, after a long investigation into a particular line of inquiry, then you sit up and take notice. And clearly, the Sheriff's Office sat up and take notice. The TBI were all over it. What will happen next? Are there going to be arrests soon? What would it take for arrests to be made? Well, they would have to have evidentiary value on this property of some kind. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that it would be the remains of Summer Wells. It could be evidence that she was there. Think about what happened in the Michael Vaughan case. 4 named suspects. They were named in November of 2022, a year and some months after Michael went missing from his street on the evening of July 27th, 2021. So Michael and Summer went missing within 6 weeks of each other. So in Michael's case, his remains have not been found. They know he's been murdered, but his remains have never been found. However, there was concrete evidence that Michael had been buried in the backyard of a property about half a mile away from Michael's house. 1102 Red Wing Street in Fruitland, Idaho. The evidence was several different aspects coming together. The fact that there'd been incriminating statements made by the occupants of the house, Sarah Wanderer and Stacey Wanderer. Stacey Wanderer had actually led them to a particular spot in the backyard, the same spot where 5 different cadaver dogs had alerted, the spot where ground-penetrating radar showed anomalies underground, but yet Michael's remains weren't there. It's took them a long time from the suspects being named to arrests being made. The arrests of Sarah and Stacey Wanderer happened on October 30th of this year. So almost 3 years after suspects were named, and over 4 years since Michael went missing. Think about that timescale in relation to this new information in the Summer Wells case. Yes, they've come out and they've said, this is where our investigation has taken us. They've given a very clear indication of the property concerned. There's only one property in the 3500 block of Van Hill Road, so it's got to be here. The fact it's a pig farm, I think is problematic for obvious reasons. If they've found something, if they've found some evidence on this property that Summer was there, even if her remains were moved, like Michael Vaughan's remains were moved, even if that has happened, there's still evidence of her there. However, how are they going to find that evidence nearly 4.5 years later? It's probably going to be DNA testing, soil samples. Very, very difficult, complex investigation. So if things of evidentiary value were found here, I think it's very early days, because all of that testing will need to be done. And I don't think we're going to hear about that. I mean, I might be wrong. They might update us soon, but I think maybe, possibly, the next we hear of this is arrests. Again, I might be completely wrong. I'm just surmising based on what has happened in previous cases, but it might not be quick unless someone confesses. If someone breaks rank and confesses, please, if you know something, please go to the cops. They're on your tail. They're there. You've got away with it for this long. You might as well come clean now, and they'll go easy on you. You got the death penalty in Tennessee. They'll throw the absolute book at you. This case has gone on for a long time. This has taken a lot of resources. So they're onto you. So confess. Come clean. You might as well. You've everything to gain by confessing. And if there's more than one person involved, well, be the first. And you never know, they might cut you a deal. But let's bring this little girl home. Let's bring her home. How did they get her from Ben Hill Road to this property, if indeed that's where she was taken? I imagine, just speculation here, that it was by design. I think it's more likely she was taken by design than it being some kind of spur-in-the-moment disaster. Well, could it be possible that the tree trimmers ran her over, killed her accidentally, and they panicked? Maybe. Given that one of the brothers connected to this address owns a tree trimming service, apparently not the same tree trimming service that were working in Beech Creek on the day that Summer disappeared, but maybe tree trimmer knew these guys and hid evidence on their property without them knowing. Is the tree trimmers the connection between here and then 9.5 miles away over here? Maybe. Or was she taken by design? You see, the thing is, if it was an accident, how do you explain these scent alerts? How do you explain the fact that Fred Hill has said there were scent alerts on his property? And the footprints. We've known about these almost since day one. Because Mr. Phillips told us that there was footprints, child-sized bare footprints on his property. And then on Mary Sexton's property as well. How do you explain that? If an accident had happened and somebody covered it up, how do you explain that? How do you explain that there was scent going down the driveway? Okay, maybe she was injured, killed on Ben Hill Road, all right. But how do you explain these scent alerts here? How do you explain these footprints here? You have to conclude that this was actually Summer Wells. You've got to say she was taken by design. And I've thought that for a long time now. That she was taken by design. Guys, let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comments. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.
Now sit. Ella, sit. Ella. Sit. I'm up. Stay. Good girl. Good girl.